So yeah, we're home early from church because the cows are out again. And yeah, it was my fault. I'm the one who only put 2 wires on these cattle panels. And so, hey, it got me out of church. There's a cowgirl and a church girl. This is the best life ever. What's up, cowgirl? Strash and Shasta, you guys have everything you want.
Look, she got some birds all around. I'm gonna pick them off before we take her home.
Welcome back to the homestead. All right, my friends, if you only had 30 days left to make major preparations. So let's say something was imminent to happen that would maybe shut off the lights or shut down the stores, and you had 30 days to make your final preparations. What would you be doing right now? That's what this video is about, just a little bit of a talk. You know, because I've done this exercise a few times in my preparation lifestyle, and every time I do, it actually bears amazing fruits. So my wife and I have just been busy beyond belief harvesting all of our fruit and our gardens and the greenhouse. Everything's just been overly busy. One of the remodels is done. The second remodel hasn't even started. But I want you to take a second and think about it for just a minute. You know, every single one of us is at different stages of preparation. There's a lot of people who are just now waking up, which is fine. Great, you're awoke. So what do? How do you get started? How do you keep motivated? Well, I just want you to consider, with everything that's going on in the economy, you know, today we're getting reports that inflation is even hotter than they expected. And so we can expect higher interest rates, and interest rates are high. In-house mortgage rates are like approaching 8 and 9%. Regular mortgages are over 7%. What that means is the access to affordable housing is just going to get worse. That's going to affect not just house prices and house payments, but also your mortgages. If your landlords are paying more, you're paying more. So we have everything just exacerbating at the moment. On top of that, you've got $5 diesel, guys. That's huge. The whole economy is being touched by diesel. So, you know, who wants to pay attention of oil prices? Well, by the way, we're at record oil prices right now. All of these things keep like conglomerating and just joining up for just one continual round of yuck. And we're all tired, we're exhausted, because it's like we feel like major things are happening, but yet they don't happen. And yet we're still here living the daily slog and needing to keep motivated. Well, when this thought came across me and my wife's mind, it really seemed very important to us. Like, if we only had 30 days, are there some things that we would immediately want to shift into? So I want you to think of that, because the things that I'm going to tell you that is on my mind is not the right answer for you. So the one thing that I'm thinking of is, right now we have been blessed with a harvest like unlike one we've ever had here in Manti. In fact, my poor trees, they're in horrible shape because I'm a horrible pruner. But it settled on me that God has given me this harvest, and I have got to do my very best to harvest, preserve. So I'll show you some images of the freeze dryer. We're going crazy with the freeze dryer. With all these apples, we've got like, I think 25 apple trees. And so we're gonna give some away, of course, but we're gonna preserve as much as we can and think of different things that we need to be doing for that. So that's top of mind. The other thing that I decided to do, I'm just about done with my rental property. And I'm like, you know what? At any time, what if we have lockdown 2.0? I'm like, well, would that affect my labor? Would that affect me getting my countertops? Would that affect me getting all of the finished plumbing and electrical? So I went and ordered all of that. It's all sitting in storage waiting. So I'm probably only a month away from the house being done anyway, but I don't want to wait. So that weighed heavily on my mind. Something that has been plaguing me forever is I need to get more fuel storage. Propane, regular gasoline that doesn't store as well, but also diesel. And so I'm like, Nate, get on it. So I'm gonna get on it. All right, well, I wanna show you what Becca's been doing. Our fruit trees have been amazing to us, just constantly producing. We have so many peaches, so many nectarines, so many plums, so much corn. Life is good. I'm always thinking about, okay, if there was the power that flickered, I've got, 3 freezers clear full of stuff. Even if the power was out for 2 weeks, guys, what would happen to your freezer? I've always said that we need to have enough bottles, enough lids, enough bullion or pectin or whatever you would be canning, enough of those supplies, bottles and lids and the materials, and then enough propane that you would be able to, in a 1 or 2 day or maybe even a 3 day period of time, preserve everything that's in your freezer. It makes absolutely no sense to have all this amazing freezer food if that's our preparation and we don't have a contingency for it. Propane and bottles are your friend. That's settled heavily on me. So that's just an idea. Take it for what it's worth. Something else that my wife came up with, because she's the one that is regularly planting in the greenhouse. It's a year-round greenhouse. We're literally planting every week, 52 weeks in a year. Okay. What about seeds? We have a ton of seeds, and you know what? We're buying more right now. That's just something that rested on us. We have got to get more seeds, and if there were any kind of contingency or some big event that happened, we would want to share. Because I firmly believe as a prepper, one of the reasons I'm such an idiot to put this channel out here and hey, look at me, because everyone's just like, I'm going to go to your house when things fall apart. Like that kind of annoys me. I'm not going to mince words on that. Like, no, you need to get your own stuff in order. But at the end of the day, if we're going to make it, we're going to make it by locking hands together. Because you've got skills that I don't, you've got preps that I don't. My video about the doomsday and the Singer sewing machine. Some people have mad skills with fabric and yarn and knitting. I've mentioned that thought a time or two. I just want you to know that every single one of you listening to this video has something to bring to the table. We all need to be sharpening our skills, sharpening our saws and our blades so that we are more effective. But I truly believe that knit together is really the only way that we're going to survive the debacle that is in our future. So having some extra seeds, to finish this thought, having some extra seeds, think about that. Not just for barter. Yes, for barter. That's important too. But if you have a neighbor that's got a little bit of ground and you can help them with seeds if they weren't prepared with seeds, if they don't listen to this video right now and go get their own seeds, is your community going to be better or worse if more people are actually doing something in some kind of a crisis? So I absolutely think that we need to lock arms. We need to grab preps for ourselves. And yes, even though I get annoyed by the people that's like, oh, when the zombies come, I'm coming to your house. I hate that. But I also kind of believe that. I do want to be helpful. Like, what if Joseph, who had all of that storage of wheat and grains in Egypt, and when his family was in need, what if he had the attitude that I naturally have? Go do it yourself. I know, I got to be better. But I think there are some preps that we can do, and if we're in a financial way, do a little extra. Now, I realize that finances are tough. And the things that I'm talking about, like what would you do if you only had 30 days? Not everything like that has to cost money. If you were one of my neighbors and you needed some apples, I've literally got 1 billion apples on my homestead, and I'm not going to use them all. Like right now, if you're in Utah, there is a plethora of extra fruit everywhere. I see these fruit trees all over. pears, peaches, plums, apples going to waste. I think if you were to look, you could probably find not only free fruit or cheap fruit, but homegrown fruit that doesn't have that appeal, A-P-E-E-L, coating over them, preservative. It's wonderful. You shouldn't worry about that at all. You could probably get higher quality stuff that has been grown in a kind, friendly, healthy way for free or for cheap. So if you don't have a lot of money, get creative. So what are you doing? Maybe put in the comments below, like, what, if you had 30 days, what would you be fanatical about getting? Another thing that I thought about is, man, I want to get like some more clothing for my kids, clothing storage. You know, I mean, maybe just a year in advance. So we've actually been saving clothing, kind of becoming like our own DI. The DI is Deseret Industries in Utah. It's basically a secondhand store. Tons of people donate their clothes to the DI. Well, we don't have one in our area. So we've actually been taking donations so that we can set up a place to offer clothing for free in a time of need to people that were here without adequate clothing options. So I don't have a ton of space, but you know what? I have some space. And so I've been given a little bit, so I feel like I need to do something with it. And so that's something that we're doing now, as if we don't have enough. But it's an idea that came and we felt like it was an inspired idea, so we're doing it. Okay, check this out. These have all been split or sliced and skinned and are ready for the freeze dryer. So as a little hack is, if you throw these in the freezer first, like we've done here, then the freeze dryer will skip the freeze cycle and just go to freeze drying cycle. Because if you're like us, this is just one freezer of many that is awaiting for the freeze dryer. So we don't want that freeze dryer doing the heavy lifting of freezing. We just want it doing freeze drying. So we have all of these different freezers pre-freezing. It saves a ton of time. More production, baby. You know, I've made videos about fireplaces. Boy, I feel so strongly about that. If you haven't considered where a fireplace, a backup source of heat, fits in your preps, I invite you, will you please just think about it? Just do the thought process. Like, is that something I might want to look into? And if you have a fireplace, do you have wood storage? Boy, I never feel like I have enough wood. One, I've got my house and then the cottage next door. Between those two houses, there's 3 fireplaces. But then I've got these other properties that also have fireplaces. Now, I would love for my tenants who rent from me to be thinking of these things. Not everyone thinks this way. I get it. I wish they did. Don't have your contingency plan to go over to your neighbor and leech off of them. Do what you can. So maybe that, again, these are things that I'm thinking about. You know, I had a friend reach out to me, and there was this, I forgot the name of the brand. It's a Liberty fireplace. It's one of the really, Yodel? I can't remember the brand. Anyway, a fireplace that was for sale on Marketplace, and it was dirt cheap. And I like immediately pounced on it. And like, I have 2 fireplaces currently in my garage. Well, now actually 3. So I went and bought it because I know that I'm going to be putting them in the other rental properties. I don't know. That's just where my head's at right now. We're going into winter. You can almost feel the cold in the air. And so if you haven't considered, is there a place in my preps for a fireplace and for backup wood? Guys, just think about it for a second. Do you trust your government that much? I mean, good for you. I wish I could live in your world. But I am not going to trust the heating or the feeding of my family to somebody else, especially not the government. Just saying. Okay, well, the other thing I was thinking of for me, again, these are not your ideas, these are mine. But so I've got 3 fireplaces in my garage. Well, they have yet to be installed into these rental houses. I'm probably going to need some black stovepipe. And so I'm like, you know what? If I'm doing my 30-day challenge, I better be buying some black stovepipe with some black dampers, with some black fittings, 90-degree fittings or whatever would be required to put them in. Oh, just do it when you get everything done. Well, you know what? I am busy. I don't know when I'll be installing those fireplaces. And so I could be 6 months from now. I mean, if we're going possibly into the 2.0 lockdown, I mean, I've got friends and family that is infected with this 2.0. It's happening. Granted, most of us are disgusted by the liberty grab and the mandates that happened the last time. But I think we're naive to think that these same people that are still in charge aren't going to try it again. So if we went into lockdown and a lot of these stores were closed, or if there's a run on stovepipe, or there's a run on food, or there's a run on bottles. We've had runs on all of these things before. So if you do it now, then when the runs happen, you can just sit back and be like, man, glad I don't have to worry about finding bottles or stovepipe or whatever, seeds. So I invite you to do a little bit of this beforehand. Now, I'm not saying that I know that something is imminent to come. I just know that every single day there's more garbage thrown at us. Like, so I was listening to this this new economic guy, Professor Onge, O-N-G-E. Oh, I got. Because this guy is like one of my new favorite guys to follow. Him and George Gammon, as far as economics, phenomenal. But he brought it to my attention, to the attention of all these hundreds of thousands of people that watch him, that in the next year, the government has over $7 trillion in debt that they have to renegotiate. So the government funds its debt by selling bonds. You know, the little treasury bond that your grandma gave you? Yeah, it says $50. I mean, that's an example of it, but they do it on a large scale. Like some of these people that are our adversaries, they hold, like China has, who knows how much they have now. I'd heard several years ago, it was like Russia had, like $300 billion in treasuries, and China had $1 trillion. Those numbers, who knows what they are now. But if they decided to all just run up and jump and sell all of our bonds, we would then have to find somebody else to carry that paper, because we have debt, and we don't carry debt we don't mortgage the nation. Well, we do, but not in the way you're thinking. We sell bonds and we sell our debt. Okay, well, right now this year we have over $7 trillion, $7 trillion in debt that has to be renegotiated. That is a problem for so many reasons. One, all of that debt that is coming to maturity this year was debt that we had at very low, in fact, historic low interest rates. Now the debt that comes due, every time it comes due, you're going from like a low percent to probably 3, 4, 5% higher. Wow, that seems like a big problem, Nate. It's a huge problem. So then your government has to, for the same amount of debt that we already have, this is talking about $7 trillion of existing debt. This is not talking about the one and now suddenly $2 trillion of deficit debt that we're adding this year, which is crazy, by the way. This is talking about debt that's being renegotiated this year that's going to go up 2, 3, 4, 5% more in interest. That is going to add hundreds of billions of dollars to our interest expense of our nation. Okay, well, if you are like me and think that the government actually doesn't make any money, they only have money that is ours, that they tax from us, where are they going to get the extra hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars to service this new, now more expensive debt? Okay, so it's already really expensive with inflation. And then if you start adding taxes and higher taxes to it, what does that do to your ability to go to the store and buy bread, or to buy stovepipe, or to buy canning jars or canning lids or bullion or seeds? Goes up, makes it tougher, right? I don't know. I think this is a healthy exercise. You got a 30-day challenge. What are you gonna do? I encourage you to get busy on your homesteads. If you don't have money, figure some ways out of finding the Nate that's in your neighborhood. I wish you well with it. If we do the best that we can, and if we're prepared, we shall not fear. I do believe that. Okay, I thought I'd come and show you the fireplaces. So this is a Lopi, L-O-P-I, Liberty. Like, this thing is beautiful. It's in immaculate shape. And you know how much I paid for it? $650. Guys, it's a $3,000 fireplace. I got it for $650. Okay, this one over here, I got this one at a local store. The window was broken. You know what I did? I went and bought me a new window. So I'm into this one. This one was free, and I had to buy a window. So I'm in it literally about $60 total with everything I had to do to fix it. I just got to put the window on. And then this other one over here, it's missing a leg. This was another one that came from a company where they had dropped it, they messed up the leg and some fire bricks. They gave it to me for free. And when I went to go pick it up, guess what they had done? They replaced the fire bricks. Like, I didn't even have to go buy the fire bricks. It would have cost me 30 bucks. But I'm like, my gosh. I mean, it's upside down now, but it's a fantastic fireplace. So what I'm getting at is that if money's tight, Nate's finding like crazy good deals, including free fireplaces. The other thing is I've got a friend, and this guy, we talk every year that we're gonna go up and buy firewood. He might be listening to this. I'm not gonna say his name, but if you're listening to this, you gotta let me know. We talk about going up and getting firewood every year. Like, that would be kind of a fun little outing. You know, we both have chainsaws and everything that we need to go do so, but we don't do it. And for me, I'm just like way too busy, and he's a busy person too. But for him, he keeps on finding people that are giving him firewood for free. He just had his friend of his that moved out of their house, and they had a whole stack of firewood. And you know what they wanted done with the firewood? The people that just bought the house wanted that firewood out of there. So guess where the firewood went? To my friend. Because his friend that had sold the house didn't have time. She's just moving into a new house. She didn't have time to go clean up the yard and move all the firewood. So he did it for free because he got firewood for free. You know, I mean, there's ways to prep on a budget. And so if you can, you probably should. Now get on it. Okay, guys, I hope this hasn't been too much rambling. I mean, if I spent a little bit more time and like wrote out what I was going to say in a video, maybe it'd be more coherent. But regardless, I've thought about these things for the last couple of days wanting to do this video, you know, because I'm spending a lot of time showing you the greenhouse, showing you the historic home remodel and whatever. But it's really been weighing on my mind is that we are all exhausted, and we have all got to just mentally work through that exhaustion, the mental exhaustion of just following all of this crap that's falling apart, and also the physical exhaustion of being busy. We're all busy, and prepping is like a second or sometimes a third or a fourth job. But it doesn't matter, guys. Power through it. Keep at it. I personally think the way that we're headed for some troubled waters. I think that this year is worse than last year, which was worse than the year before that, which is worse than 2020. So if you don't see it, maybe you need to spend a little bit more time looking a little bit into the news. I only look at those things so I know a little bit better on what I can do to prepare. It's worth it for me. It keeps me motivated. And I'll tell you one thing, there's hardly any preparation thing that I've done that I've regretted. Oh man, I wish I wouldn't have done all that freeze drying. Oh man, I wish I wouldn't have planted a garden. Man, I wish I didn't have wood storage, you know? So if you do it, you're gonna feel better, you're gonna be more confident, and you know what? There'll probably be less anxiety in your life, not more, because you know that you've prepared for the coming day of tribulation. So get on it, guys. Stay positive, but stay active. Get to work. See you next time. Welcome home, girls. They've been naughty.
Trying to tickle him.
Trying to stay clean. Trying to stay clean. Don't you poop on my lawn, girls. E-I-E-I-O, old MacDonald had a farm. E-I-E-I-O, with a moo-moo here and a moo-moo there. Here a moo, there a moo, everywhere a moo-moo. I am helping, just for the record. Plus they don't like me, so I walk behind them to naturally go. Oh. Yep. I'm on Shasta, or splash duty. Shasta duty.
Good girl. You know, there's a treat waiting for you.
Well, the cows are back and church is over. And I've got Mr. Jelly here. Look in the trailer. Stand up, let me see your outfit.
No.
Stand up, muscle man.
No.
Come on. If you've got young girls about freshman age, give me a thumbs up in the comments. I want to introduce them to Mr. Jelly. Jelly.
Oh, no.